The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Greetings, Flesh Wound After Dark fans, and welcome to another Black Emmanuelle episode. We've been hammering our way through this awesome Black Emmanuelle set from Severin. Be sure to catch our previous episode on Black Emmanuelle and Black Emmanuelle 2. And I think we're kind of getting to the point now where we're getting into some of the more, I would say, well-known films. I know a lot of these are kind of entry movies into the Black Emmanuelle franchise for a lot of people, and I'm very eager to talk about them. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
Good. Always good to be talking about Emmanuelle, Black Emmanuelle.
It is, yeah. I really enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying going through this. Looking at them all together like this is going to be a great experience, you know.
Yeah, I think this will be the first time I've actually watched them all in order because I've jumped around.
It will be for me. Yeah.
So
yeah. We were talking briefly on the first episode about the Mondo kind of influence on these films, and if you're unfamiliar, Mondo films, they're designed to basically convince people that they're nonfiction, sort of documentaries. Mondo Cane from 1962.
I was going to say this was the one that introduced me to that.
That started it all, really. And if you're unfamiliar,
Cannibal Holocaust was heavily influenced by those movies. You know, that mockumentary style. It just took them to another level, you know.
Yeah, they really did. And I mean, these movies are really interesting if you've never dived into them. They kind of focused on bizarre rituals in exotic locales, sex, death, a lot of animal. So certainly, like you said, Cannibal Holocaust. And they were really popular.
And the other thing they love is the Indonesians hanging from the hooks when they do the self-hooking and hanging. You know, people hang themselves up.
Yeah, body
suspension. Yeah, Mystics in Bali. That was Umberto Lenzi, one of Umberto Lenzi's, and I believe it was Umberto Lenzi, Mystics in Bali.
No, it actually wasn't. But Mystics in Bali is fantastic. Terror.
Yeah, I love Mystics in Bali.
Yeah.
Why do I think it's Umberto Lenzi? Umberto Lenzi did the hanging in the cannibal movie with the cult where
Man from Deep River.
No, the one where Eaten Alive, yeah, and it starts off and they show it, they pretend it's the cult.
Yeah.
That stuff's nuts. So some of the stuff those people do when they're in those religious frenzies is absolutely nuts, and that they were there to capture it. These Italian guys, you know. Yeah,
the Italian cannibal film, which Emmanuelle does get there eventually.
It does, yeah.
You'll never get that again. It's a subgenre that is just you've got what you've got. You won't get anything else truly authentic.
Yeah, well, he tried, didn't he? What was it? Green Inferno? Eli Roth tried. And even as soon as I heard that he was going to try doing it, I thought, why? Because it just won't be. It won't be, so what's the point? And I wouldn't want to see someone going and killing an animal now for a movie, you know, but the intensity that it generates that they did it, you know, is there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, especially Cannibal Ferox, like that poor little finger that gets eaten by that snake. God, it takes so long to die. Like, die, little thing. You fucked. Can't you see it's over, man? Just
yeah.
it's so long, see.
Cannibal Ferox is actually even worse than Holocaust in a lot of ways.
I actually like it better. It's but I say Holocaust is a better movie from the point of view of cinema, but I just enjoy Ferox more. It's more fun, in my opinion, more fun movie. You know,
a lot.
Well, it's got Giovanni. I love Giovanni's performance in that movie.
Yeah, Giovanni.
It's a really great performance from him as I can't remember the name of his character, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wow, he takes a long time to die too. He's like castrated 2 days in the movie before he dies. You know, well, he goes on for ages after he's castrated.
He suffers in that one. It's interesting how some of these kind of connect, and so Emmanuelle in Bangkok. We're getting into now the Joe D'Amato era. This is a 1976 film, and Laura Gemser luckily is back to stay. And in this one, she's on assignment in Bangkok to interview the King of Thailand, and becomes entangled in political intrigue and sexual encounters with old and new lovers. Returning to this, of course, is her soon-to-be husband, Gabriel Tinti, who they were kind of a package deal for pretty much everything. They made, I think, over 20 movies together, a couple dozen movies, I believe, and they were a package deal. That's why they always tended to be in these films. And this one, I think, is probably the sexiest film to date that we've covered so far, at least in my opinion.
I thought so. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of social commentary as far as, you know, Americans going abroad and you know, arguably taking advantage of these cultures and being very ignorant of different ways. We kind of have that one couple that they hang out with that is kind of used for comedic relief in this one. And in my opinion, Emmanuelle has never been hotter than she is in this film. And I really have to say, what makes these movies is not just the erotic content, it's also the score. Nico Fidenko did the score in these films. Sometimes it's a little bizarre. Some people have called it that. But very catchy. The music.
Instant listening it developed, because I heard it first in the fully fledged form in Emmanuelle in the Last Cannibals, where it's really fucking fantastic. Actually, I almost bought the record, but I was don't start buying records or soundtracks, because that's a whole nother level of money. Don't go there.
You got 2 discs of song tracks on the box on CD.
Yeah, it's a wonderful soundtrack. That one, but it's interesting to me hearing the proto versions on the earlier ones, because it's like he has a little signature. There's a little Black Emmanuelle signature that he uses that is reoccurring. You know, which is really fucking cool. I love that. I love that when characters have their own little musical signature, you know, which goes. It's part of making a cult. Well, not any kind of cinematic character is them having their own little. You know, it helps give them that cult status. If they don't have that, then there's a piece missing. You know.
Yeah. I mean,
and she has it. She has Black Emmanuelle music. You know.
Yeah.
She does, and they use it a lot. Some would say maybe overuse it, but it sticks in your head. And I started collecting vinyl during the and it gets very expensive, so I kind of stopped doing it. But this would be a soundtrack if you guys still do collect vinyl out there and can get a hold of it.
It would be, yeah. Yeah, I love the Emmanuelle soundtracks. But yeah, anyway, this was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, this one, a lot of comedy, a lot of actually, if you've ever been to Thailand, the ping pong shows are that's actual culture. That's a thing there. That's something that does still to this day happen. And so it's pretty authentic. It's funny, but
Well, they make the
line,
most of flying to these locations, because they're cheap. They're so cheap. It's like out here in Colombia, shooting
yeah.
naked chicks costs you nothing.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good
Like
place to go
really,
for a sexploitation movie, for sure. It's
yeah.
ironic because one of the places they didn't do a lot of filming is Emmanuelle in America. They didn't really do a whole lot actually in America, which we'll talk about.
No,
Um,
I was gonna say most of Emmanuel. There's a lot of Emmanuel in Americas in Africa. You know,
yeah, yeah.
it seems to stick in my head more in Africa.
So we do get cult film legend Ivan Rassimov is Prince Sonnet, the Thai prince, which is pretty funny.
Yes,
Don't even
yes.
really try and make him look Thai. It's just roll
He,
with it.
her problem, like so much of the plot of this, really revolves around her passport being stolen.
Yeah,
Which it seems like a real fucking insurmountable problem for her. Like that her passport is stolen. Like she has to have sex with everybody now because her passport's been stolen. That's what I got was the plot of the movie. And after she's had to have sex with everyone, right at the end, the model gives her her passport back because I just stole it for a laugh. And she's okay then, no problem. Emmanuelle, she's like, oh, never mind.
you can't get her down whether she's being
No.
assaulted by bikers or whatever happens. She just lets it roll over her with no problem,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
makes these movies. I think.
Yeah, well, we got to talk a little bit, about. I mean, if there was like a Me Too on Black Emmanuelle, I mean, she's sexually assaulted more people than through the course of these movies. Literally, she knocks a woman on her ass in the next movie. Well, I won't go get ahead of us to the next movie, but yeah, she's not heard about consent, Emmanuelle. She just doesn't care about it, like at all.
She does
Not
not.
at all. No.
And
Maybe
she's so fucking casual about it too. She's like super casual, like where she's about everything so breezy about it.
Maybe someone stole her passport, and that's why we haven't seen Laura Gemser in a while. She's still trying to find her way.
Yeah,
She's 70 now. 70 now. Or 71.
Yeah, at least. Ivan Rassimov, of course, Man from Deep River, and a million different things.
Yeah.
Ivan Rassimov pop up in. I did want to throw out Koiki Mahako, who plays Guy. She pops up again in a smaller role, but she plays Manuel's friend in this one. A lot of people who watched Cinemax back in the day will remember the massage scene with those two. That always was on different nudity and film compilations out there. It's pretty well known. And I really like this movie. They do talk in the extras about Thailand kind of being a hotspot for these sort of sexploitation films, stuff like Hot Sex in Bangkok, Three Bavarians in Bangkok, To Bangkok for Love. There were a lot, a ton of these films, these sex tourism films that were quite often set in Thailand. And I think this is one of the better ones. Like I said, Nico Fidenko, the score. This one pretty much hits on everything. If you're coming into this for the first time, if you're a younger fan and you're kind of diving in, I'm sure the plot, like you said, it's just her passport is stolen as a joke, and she has to have sex with about 100 different people to get it back. A little bit thin, but it's all about the exotic locales, the really, like I said, just hot scenes, particularly with the Guy character, and I love it. I really love this movie a lot. It ranks quite high out of the whole franchise for me.
It's quite different in tone to the last one. Much more comedic. The tone's much lighter, much more comedic. Like the Emmanuelle too. It starts with that whole torture thing, and it's like just darker in tone. Because that one's very breezy. Emmanuelle 3, I thought.
Yeah, it is, and like I said, even when it starts to get kind of dark at the end with the bikers assaulting her, it washes it away really quick, and it's kind of back.
Well, she doesn't look upset by it, so like not at all,
Yeah, just kind of
because when she gets her passport back, she's like, okay,
yeah,
bitch, I've been gang because you stole my passport.
Yeah. And this one, I definitely think one of the better movies in the set. Any closing thoughts, and I'll run down some of the extras for you guys.
No, like I do like this one. It's all the films are a little different, and I like the light tone in this one. It was just like a little more playful, and I was fine with that.
Playful, yeah.
And I've always kind of liked that about this one. I mean, so then what do we got extra wise?
Extras wise, you have an audio commentary with film professor Aaron Obakan. And this is very informative. He talks about the Nico Fidenko music and runs down some of that history of Thailand being used as a Bangkok specifically used as a location in a lot of these sex tourism films. Everything you could want. I believe he also names drops it, but I highly recommend, since we've talked a lot about Mondo films, Sweet and Savage, The World Through the Mondo Film Lens. If you're curious about Mondo movies and their history, that's a really good book. We also get a reflection of the times, interview with actress Deborah Berger, who's actually the daughter of actor William Berger.
Oh, really? Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we get a 1999 interview with Ivan Rasimov, which is short, but speaks very highly again of Joe D'Amato and kind of how he ran his set is, kind of very family-like. That's kind of a theme for most of the people who talk about D'Amato in a personal sense. And I believe 99 was when D'Amato had died, so he had just died probably right before this interview.
Well, I know Donald O'Brien worked with Joe D'Amato when he was very sick, like really fucking sick, and he still went and finished his last movie with him, Frankenstein 2000, which is it's a shitty movie, but it's a fucking entertaining movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it. But it's a great send-off for Donald O'Brien at the end when he's got the power cable thing, coming down the street with it. I mean, But, I think, wasn't it? I believe it's both of the last movies, actually. I think it's Joe D'Amato's last movie as well, or his last non-porn movie. Because he came he was just doing now with him, then he just did that one movie, like, towards the end, once Donald O'Brien was terminally ill,
Yeah, he did. He was working a lot with Rocco Siffredi on a lot of XXX films.
I remember getting those at the video store. I was like, oh, I got to take this one home now when I work there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Joe D'Amato, you're in for a good time. Quest for the Mighty Sword is one I like. That's the one where they reused the Troll 2 puppet. With a pretty amusing movie. You can see a clip from it online. Unfortunately, not on Blu-ray yet, but yeah. As far as this movie goes, I am a 4.5. I love this one.
Max?
I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, I know. I'm torn between those two.
Because I've got to leave a little room to play with for the later movies, you know.
I get that. I'm gonna go with a 4 on this one too.
Yeah, I'm really, I mean, it hasn't been that long since I revisited these films, but there's considering you're dealing with a lot of the same actors, same director. At this point, you would think you'd get a little bit tired of them, but they are all a little bit different, which has kept it interesting as I work.
They are, yes, yeah. Because I watched all of these for the first time.
Awesome! Yeah. So our next one, Emmanuelle in America from 1977. This is, I think, arguably at least one of the top 2 most notorious in the franchise, and also from Joe D'Amato. And this one follows Emmanuelle as she goes undercover to expose the seedy lives of the rich and powerful sex cultists and snuff film peddlers in America and Europe. So Emmanuelle in America, kind of an early one that sort of touched upon the snuff theme. Of course, there was Snuff, the film from the Findleys, which not a great movie, but they did have to go.
Oh, the movie Snuff.
Yeah.
With the cult guy.
Yeah.
Where they filmed the extra footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was when I was young. I thought that movie was going to be so awesome. I have it on Blu-ray. And they also made Shriek of. Do you know what's fucking weird though? They also made Shriek of the Mutilated.
Yeah,
this movie Shriek of the Mutilated. And you know what happened to the director?
Yeah,
Do you know what happened to him? He was killed by a helicopter in New York. Right? It flipped. Its runner broke and it fell like that and it chopped him the blade. And he made a movie called Shriek of the Mutilated.
Hopefully,
and he was
Michael
mutilated.
Finley. Yeah, he was the husband of Roberta Finley, who Roberta was pretty notable because there weren't a lot of female sexploitation directors, and she went on to do a lot of classic hardcore.
I think she co-directed both of their movies. Actually, co-directed him and her together. Shriek of the Mutilated is very entertaining. It's
a good.
It's better than Snuff, I thought.
Yeah, Snuff is kind of a Frankenstein movie, anyways. It's complicated.
Yeah, well, they bought it. They bought that footage, right?
Yeah, it's. I always tell people don't get too excited going into that one. The story behind it's more interesting than the movie itself. But Shriek of the Mutilated is a great double feature with Night of the Demon. From 1980.
It is. I love Great Sasquatch double bill. I love Night of the Demon as well. Yeah. And Demon Warp as well is another Sasquatch movie. That's a fucking mental movie as well.
It is. Yeah. Night of the Demon's probably my favorite for the biker scene. Getting his dick ripped off by Sasquatch.
That's a great scene, yeah. And of course, the Werewolf and the Yeti. Because funny, a bunch of those made it on the Video Nasty list in the UK.
Yeah.
A bunch of those Yeti movies did.
Yeah.
For some reason, they had it in for the Yeti movies.
Yeah, they didn't like the Bigfoots.
The censors did not know.
They didn't. Emmanuelle in America is a film that's deserving of it for sure. As we'll get.
I'm not surprised that it's on. I'm not surprised that it's on that list.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean,
I personally, I just watched it. I got done watching it just before this podcast. So I just watched it today. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe D'Amato was no stranger to the Video Nasties. I mean, Anthropophagus and Absurd, I know, are on there. And I mean, This is the one that had the controversial scene, which pretty crazy.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask you actually, Dan, if you knew, was the snuff movie scenes with the nipples being cut off and everything. Are they taken from another movie, or were they actually shot for this movie?
They were shot for the film. In fact, another case where Maurizio Trani, I know. He had to go in, much like Ruggiero Donato, and prove that no, we didn't kill this girl.
Really? Because they're fucking great. I mean, it helps that they're distorted and stuff, but I mean, I love this one. This was my favorite one of the four. Like, big dimension, because I was not expecting it to be a horror. A cross-genre horror porn movie.
This one's got a lot.
And it was horrific. Like, the horror bits were hardcore, There, some of the actors was more hardcore the horror side than Emmanuelle and the Cannibals, I would say, arguably. The horror element is, it's shorter, but when it comes, it's
what the hell, yeah.
I mean, if that happened in the middle of a you'd be like, what the fuck, It's like strange. Who's that movie for? That's what I was thinking when I was watching it. It was like, who's this movie for, though? It's for us now. I could laugh,
He had to go to court, both with the Giannato De Rossi, and explain basically, no, we didn't cut her breast off. It was a prosthetic. We had to have an actress with small.
Because it's a good prosthetic. I actually thought it was better than the Umberto Lenzi breast cutting from. I don't know. It's a good one.
If I found that footage in and of itself, there's that famous story with the guinea pig movies where Charlie Sheen contacted the FBI because he thought he was watching a real snuff movie. I'm sure
he hit his cocaine.
Those scenes were like for horrible seconds. Joe D'Amato, such a moralist person. If he found it as a snuff scene, he'd put it in his movie to save money. So there was a second in that I think, God, I'm not really watching some poor woman being cut up in South America or something. Because like in Thriller, it's a real fucking eye they use in one of the scenes in Thriller, and I didn't know that. And now when I see it, I find it nauseating, and I didn't when I just thought it was it's a sheep's eye, But they used to, those snuff scenes are really good in Emmanuelle in America, Emmanuelle in Africa. It should be called because she's in Africa for most of the scenes.
It was mostly just establishing shots in America in this one, so they kind of cheat a little bit, but it works. And a testament to the effect team on this one, because it's not a huge part of the movie, but it is brutal and
the tone is much darker than the last one.
Yes,
I thought more sleazy. It's more sleazy and it's just darker. The stakes, like the stakes are played like they actually matter in this one, because in the other one they just play like they don't matter, but in this one it's like more, they're cutting people's breasts off, but it's just the darker tone.
There's more danger in this one. It'd probably be the one that Kruger might like, along with the cannibal one. So maybe he'll watch it.
That's what I was going to say. If I was going to recommend one to people, who are more horror fans, I would say this one has enough horror in to, I mean, it's not like it's all the way through, but it is. When it comes, it goes on for quite a bit. That whole scene with the snuff thing too. I was not expecting that at all. That's why I enjoyed it so much, because it caught me completely by surprise. I thought I was already taken by surprise by the hardcoreness of the sex, because it was up on a whole nother level to the last ones. Because you had like a lot of suddenly, which were like the new thing.
And you've already had one horse already at this point.
And also, yeah.
Sorry, Dan, I'm taking notes.
You know.
We also get a nude Martha Stewart lookalike that a lot of people point out at the beginning, which there is comedy in this. I thought the carjacker, well, he's not really a carjacker. He's trying to kill her.
Yes, that very strange interaction with the carjacker who's going to kill her, and then she starts sucking his dick and he runs off.
And turns him into
And she takes that as a victory. She's so funny, she's so pleased with herself after he's run off as well. She's like, girl power.
It's hilarious.
They could learn a lot for that Barbie movie from this. Like about how like girl power works. Imagine if Barbie got down like Black Emmanuelle. Just like,
there you go.
They could just repurpose this script for Barbie 2 and we're good.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie just getting carjacked and just sucking the guy off, and the
guy runs off. He's like, "Oh my god!" Because that's what's so funny about it, right? She starts him off, and he's just repulsed, and I'm a virgin, and runs off. Like, dude, you're gonna stay on. Like,
it's a pretty hilarious scene because then later she's real nonchalant about it. It's like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah. That keeps the gun, and her boyfriend confirms that it's a loaded gun with real bullets in it. She doesn't go, oh shit, She's like, oh well, you keep the gun. She's just like,
not even concerned that he's gonna come back. Yeah, it's odd, but it works. It really makes for an entertaining movie to be able to.
I love these scenes, they happen in Italian movies where the writer just kind of fuck it, I'll put it in,
Yeah, and it to go from comedy to snuff to eroticism. I mean, this has something for everybody, and it was considerably more nuts than the other three movies preceding it. Yeah,
I thought just in everything it was more extreme.
It very much is, and you do kind of get very heavy into the XXX content at the end. Pretty crazy stuff leading up to the finale with the snuff footage, which is
you can tell she just didn't want any part of it because Laura Gamescom, because she's not in any of the XXX scenes. There's that whole montage where she goes around all the huts looking in from the outside, right? So they don't have to shoot her in the same sequence as the people actually having sex, because I noticed in that she managed to keep her her boundaries.
She never participated in actual sex on film. She did use body doubles for that sort of stuff.
She didn't use them. They used body doubles for
it. They used body doubles. She would never do XXX. George Eastman's another one who would never, he would never perform in.
I've seen George Eastman getting a blow. I've seen him, and it's definitely him because I'm like, wow, George Eastman's got a big.
he might. I think he did do that.
It's in one of the Joe. I'll tell you which movie it is too. It's in either Joe D'Amato made 2 sex horror movies, Erotic Nights of the Living Dead, and one other one, and in one of those movies, George Eastman's getting a blowjob, and he looks like he's really enjoying it too. It's a long blowjob scene, and it's definitely not a body double.
Okay, yeah, he was always game for just about everything.
He looks like he's having a good time. He really does. I have to say, just his face, he looks like he's having a good time. Because I was like, wow, because when I saw that, because I thought George Eastman was, more serious. I was just surprised to see his penis, but he looks amazing. It's George Eastman, and He's one of my favorites. He's just so great.
He's a legend for sure, and
in everything. Well, both his collaborations with Joe D'Amato, Absurd, and the first one,
Anthropophagus.
Anthropophagus. I love Anthropophagus. People say, "Oh, it's so slow," but I do. I actually love Anthropophagus.
Oh yeah, the look of that one.
It's very well shot, I
own a lot of copies of that one too. I got so many different versions.
One of my favorite video nasties for sure.
And then there was the remake. It's terrible, but I watched it anyway. The Andreas Schnass. It's Andreas Schnass, right? The violent shit guy.
Violent shit.
I try to like his stuff more because he seems like a really cool guy. And he loves Fulci and he loves the greats. He loves the fucking masters. But he just the violent shit series. It's just like I did like the one the Giallo one actually.
The one that was based off that that has nothing to do with it.
The violent shit Giallo with Giovanni and and that was quite good.
He was somebody that he didn't have much of an eye for story, but he did for effects. A lot of the German horror films, Olaf Ittenbach, who I do think has made better movies with Primo Dose and what have you, but I appreciate the effects work that he does. The Germans were always kind of known more for the grisly effects.
Well, who was terrible, made so many terrible movies. It was German, but who made a couple of good ones at the beginning was Uli Lommel. Lommel. Because he was banged at. Because I actually tried to see him because he lived in Venice. He had an office in Venice before he died. His production company had an office upstairs in Venice. And I thought, this guy will take a script of anyone. I gotta fucking just talk to him, man, and say, look, dude, I'll fucking I've got some good horror scripts here, right? Yeah. But I never managed to get it. His health was already fucking on the outstand. But the Tenderness of Wolves is really a really great movie. But I heard Fassbender had something to do with that possibly. So, But then Boogeyman too. Not Boogeyman 2, that's a terrible movie, but The Boogeyman is also a movie I really like.
Uli was off to a good start than he did. He churned him out fast towards the end of his life. He did. You did like the Green River
towards the end. He did that Black Orchids, the Black Orchid serial killer movie, and he said it in the 30s, and it was a bit like some of the recent Full Moon pictures, said in the 30s when you've got a budget of nothing, no money at all, and you said it in the 30s. So straight away you got these bad CGI, fucking weird exterior scenes.
Yeah, it was all serial killer stuff at the end of his career, and there's not a lot of it that's very good, but and you would have thought he could have just made a decent serial killer movie, because he could have just kept going back to the Boogeyman, remaking that essentially, but the deaths are essentially like Nightmare on Elm Street deaths. They're supernatural deaths, so they just got to keep coming up with different supernatural ways to kill people, I always recommend, I think maybe his best movie, or at least one of his top two, is Devonsville Terror.
Yep, with Donald Pleasance. That's the one I was going to throw out there.
Yeah, Donald
Pleasance. Of course, that is actually, I really like that movie. I forget it's him because it's so coherent.
Right.
Yeah.
It was an interesting.
But I do like Tenderness of Wolves as well. I really like that movie. It reminds me of M, with Peter Lorre.
Mm-hmm.
The movie M, that kind of German, and also actually reminds me of Necromantic as well. To me, all three of those movies are in that same tradition of kind of German psycho horror, where you're with the the mentally sick person for most of the movie. Like Peter Lorre in M, I think, was one of the first times they kind of did that. And Tenderness of Wolves again plays that same thing, and then a necromantic, but each time it's more horrible. It's a very German kind of storytelling.
Yeah, Schramm is a good film from.
Oh, and Schramm as well. Yeah. You know, he became a German minister for film. That's so fucking amazing. You know, because if he lived in England, they won't make him the minister. Well, they put him on the video nasties list. But it's just amazing to me that the guy that made Necromantic lived in a country where they're so open-minded, they made him the minister for film.
That's crazy.
But yeah, as far as Emmanuelle in America goes, I think it's near the top of the list. It's such again, we've got this blow humor, and then we get snuff towards the end. It's a roller coaster.
It is a roller coaster, yeah.
And on the extras side of things, there is a new interview with actor Lars Bloch that also, once again, just kind of talked about how cool Joe D'Amato and his family. He was very close to them. It's a good interview. We get an interview with actress Maria Piera Rigoli, who is actually a very funny lady. She talks a little bit about having to shoot the erotic scenes with Gemser and other actresses in the movie regretting doing it because of the nudity. Really funny interview. Still looks great. We also get The Art of Sex and Gore, an interview with art director Marco Dentici, who has some good background. But I highly recommend the effects artist extras. There's Giannato De Rossi, who goes into having to go to court, explain how they did the breast scene.
I'm certainly going to watch that. I was really surprised by how good the special effects were.
Yeah,
mind you, Joe D'Amato occasionally he had to go to court for Beyond the Darkness too, for the autopsy scene when they take the guts out. He had to go and prove that wasn't a real autopsy.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
And that's a pretty nauseating scene. It's just kind of disgusting, you know.
Yeah, it's a gross scene. And Giannato also talks about working with Lucio Fulci on Contraband and some of the effects that he created for him. There's a funny story in here about the actress with the mouth piece in for the snuff film getting burned with wax. That was pretty
Contraband.
Good. Yeah,
of course. That's brutal. When she gets her face burnt off, I love Contraband. I absolutely adore that movie. I mean, it has some great deaths in, you know.
Yeah, I always tell people a lot of the Italian crime polizia films were. I mean, there's some gorier stuff in a lot of those movies than there is in a lot of horror movies. Some of those were really,
some of them
really
nasty. Just it's the mean spiritedness of the violence, you know. Like one of my favorites is Umberto Lenzi's Violent Naples, and there's a bit towards the end when Maurizio Merli he's on the top of the tram. This tram thing that goes up, it's like a tram that goes up a steep hill, and the villain is inside, and there's another tram coming down the other way, and the villain just gets this woman and just holds her face out the window into the tram that's coming the other way, and he just smashes her face in, and then she just drops, she's dead. I mean, it's some of Lenzi's most brutal work is in his police movies, you know. And Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man, all of them. The most violent, in fact, of all the police movies that I've ever seen is one called Weapons of Death. Which has Henry Silver in that, has a guy getting castrated in and God, there's so many violent deaths in that movie.
A lot of those really are. They go harder than even a lot of the Italian horror. Anybody watching this, I mean, look into Lenzi, of course,
and they have great music too. I mean, they have great music and great direction. They're some of my favorite Italian movies of those movies. You know?
Yeah. Also look into you guys out there who haven't dived into it. Fernando De Leo made some really great Italian cop.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I highly recommend.
And some good westerns he did as well.
Yeah. The two effects artists extras on there. Maurizio Trani also talks about working on Caligula, and that film. He talks about Bob Guccione hijacking it from Tinto Brass, the director at the time. So some good bits there if you're familiar with the Caligula story. That was a lot of the Emmanuelle films really took advantage of that, because that movie was in the making for a long time, and they knew that it was going to be pretty extreme as far as the sex goes. So they beat them to the punch on getting some of that out. There's also an interview with Maria Piafusco and Piera Vivarelli on the origins of Joe D'Amato's Emmanuelle. This is a pretty good piece on that. And we also get Naked City, Emmanuelle in New York, which is a Michael Gingold location tour of before and after for the stuff that they did shoot in New York. So overall, these are really stacked. Rating Emmanuelle in America, I'm going to go a 5 in terms of sleaze. I mean, this is about as good as you're going to get. And it's also funny. It's also sexy. It hits everything you could possibly want out of this kind of movie.
Yeah, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5, right?
Yeah.
It's got everything. It's like if you're new to this series, this would be the one I would recommend. Or you're just new to Joe D'Amato's movies, because it's a great introduction to Joe D'Amato, because it's just completely outrageous, like absolutely outrageous. If you want to believe the juxtaposition of story is something else, you know. And the gore scenes are excellent. They are really really good. The horror, when it gets to the horror bit, I was very impressed, you know.
As good as it gets. Yeah. How about you, Ty?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm easily a 5. I mean, this is I love this movie. I'm even wearing my little gimmick, so
I didn't get the merch, but we're gonna play the board game when we're done.
We are, and then you can see the stickers. We have the 4. We have USA.
Oh, that's fantastic! Yeah,
we have a security clearance one, and then is that Italy at the bottom? Yeah, Italy. So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing Sister Emmanuelle. I've never seen the one where she's the nun, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I think Porno Holocaust is the one with the
blowjob.
The blowjob,
yeah.
Because I was trying to find that movie everywhere to watch Porno Holocaust. I actually ended up watching it on a porn site. It's the only time I've ever watched a feature movie on a porn site, but it was actually on a full-on porn website. That's where I found it.
You can. It used to be. I mean, a lot of stuff's come out on Blu-ray, but I will say some of this exploitation stuff that you guys out there might be looking for that hasn't been widely released, you can find vintage erotica on tube sites, even softcore stuff.
I mean, but it is a horror movie. To be fair, I mean, it's still It sounds much better than it is. Holocaust, to be honest. I mean, you know, it's not there's not that much more Holocaust in it, you know.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I was a little underwhelmed. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah, in fact, this movie was much more befitting of that title, Emmanuel in America. You know.
Yes, yes.
You know.
So guys, thanks once again for joining us. We still have barely made a dent in the set, so we will be back next time to do 2 more. And
I look forward to it.
I look forward to it as well. All right. On that note, good night, gentlemen.
Good night, guys.